Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Maria, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a 1080 degree detachable peplum. Let's get into this. So here are the materials I will be using in this video. Interfacing, lining, hem and tape, African print fabric, horsehair, and heavy duty snaps. Let's start with some measurements. We're going to be making a 1080 degree peplum. The waist measurement for my dress form is 31 1/4. 360 plus 360 plus 360 equals 1080. That's 3 circles. So 31 1/4 divided by 3 circles equals 10.42 inches. Then I'm going to take the 10.42 inches and add 2 inches for seam allowance. That will equal 12.42 inches. After that, I will take the 12.42 inches and divide it by 6.28, which is a formula that doesn't change for a full circle. The total waist radius will be 1.98 inches, but I'm going to round that off to 2 inches. So the waist radius for my dress form is 2 inches. For the length of the skirt, I decided to make it 6 1/4. So 6 1/4 plus 1 inch seam allowance makes it 7 1/4. And the total amount for the circle skirt is 9 1/4. Next is the waistband. The waist is 31 1/4. The extension for me is 4 inches. The extension can be 4 to 6 inches. The seam allowance is 1 inch. That's a 1/2 inch on the end of each side of the waistband. And the total amount for the waistband is 36 1/4. The waist divided by 2 is 15 5/8. And the waistband is 1 3/4 wide, plus a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now let me show you how to do the waistband. So here is the waistband. When I divide the waist into 2, I will get 15 5/8. So that means this is going to be 15 5/8 and this is going to be 15 5/8. The 4 inch extension will be on one side of the waistband like this. For the circle skirt, I will put the 2 inch radius here. And from here to here will be the length of the skirt, which is 6 1/4 and a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then I will put the other 1/2 seam allowance on top, which makes it a 1 inch seam allowance in total. From there, mark down all your notes. These are the pattern pieces. The next step is to fold the fabric selvage to selvage. Then fold it one more time like this. This is the closed side and this is the open side. Then put your pattern on top of the fabric and cut 3 pieces like this for the fabric, lining, and interfacing. Next is the interfacing. For the interfacing, you can use it in 3 ways. You can put it only on the main fabric, or you can put it only on the lining, or you can just put it on both fabrics. Also, did you guys know that using the wrong interfacing can make your clothes look cheap? I'm going to show you the good ones, then the ones that you should not use. There are 3 kinds of interfacing. There's woven, non-woven, and knit. In this video, we will focus on woven and non-woven. So the interfacing I use is called cotton interfacing, which is woven. The company is called Peplum, and the name of the interfacing is called Shape Flex SF101. It feels really nice, guys, and it's made in the USA. The next interfacing is a heavyweight cotton woven interfacing. I love the way this one feels. I bought so much of it and now I'm sad because I only have a little bit left. This one is made in China and I got it when I was in New York. I'm looking around to buy some more and I saw some on Etsy, so I'm going to look into that. The next one is a lightweight cotton woven interfacing. When I'm doing bust caging for a corset, I use it to cover the ridgeline boning. And I also use it to cover polyester batting. And sometimes I use it for fabric that needs a light interfacing. This company is called Bozo. The style number is 300. And if you order it, just make sure that you get style 300 because they have different styles. Next is a non-woven interfacing. This interfacing feels like paper. And you might be able to hear it when you move it, especially when you crunch it with your hands. It just has a crunch noise. Some feel like a card behind a fabric. It can wrinkle and crease more easily, especially when it's behind satin. Here's another one from another company. It really just gives a garment a cheap look. That's why I do not use it. The best interfacing for me is woven cotton interfacing. Now let's get back into this circle skirt. So the next step is to sew a piece of fabric on the raw edge of the horsehair. Then put the hemming tape on top of the horsehair and sew it in the back like this. Let's sew. This is how it's going to look in the back. Next, sew your seam allowance all around the lining. For me, it's a 1/2 inch. Make sure your seams are pressed open. After that, take your horsehair and sew it right next to your seam allowance. Not on top of it, but right next to it. This is how it should look. The hemming tape will be on top, but in the back like this. There's 2 ways to do the top of the horsehair. You can use the hemming tape and press it in the back so that the glue sticks to the lining. Or you can sew the top of the horsehair so it doesn't move and it's secured. I like doing both methods, but it all depends on the situation. Also, when you sew the horsehair, sew it before the side seam allowance. After that, put the lining and main fabric right side to right side and sew on top of the seam allowance, all around the peplum. When it comes to a curve, I like to put clips all around about 5 inches apart. I put clips on the seams first, and then I work my way around the circle. When you finish sewing it, turn the peplum inside out and press on the lining side with the iron so that the hemming tape sticks to the back of the lining. Once I turn the peplum inside out, the fabrics will match here and here. That's because when I sewed the horsehair, I sewed it right next to the 1/2 inch seam allowance, so it matches up perfectly. Next up is the waistband. Pin one side of the waistband to the peplum and sew it all the way around till you reach the end of the peplum. This is the extension right here. When you flip the waistband over, you can either do an edge stitch, top stitch, or stitch in a ditch. To do a stitch in a ditch, you have to cover the stitches in the back. So if your seam allowance is a 1/2 inch, then turn it 3/8 for the back so that the needle catches the seam allowance in the back. I usually add 1/4 to my waistband seam allowance in the back, so I have a little bit more room to fold it, because if the fabric is too thick, then folding it 3/8 won't work, and I would have to do a top stitch. It's a good thing that it wasn't thick, so I'm good to go. Now for the extension, you can't do a stitch in a ditch, as you can see. So to get a professional look for the waistband extension, you can either do an edge stitch, top stitch, or hand sew a blind stitch, which is also called a ladder stitch, slip stitch, or an invisible stitch. I hand sewed a blind stitch because I didn't want the stitch to show. I was going to use these heavy duty snaps, but then I decided to use these. I like how it looks next to the peplum. And this is how it looks, guys. Do you like it? You can wear it with a corset, a dress, or anything else you want to wear with it. Also, if you don't want the snaps to show in the front, you can turn the peplum to the back like this. If you enjoyed this video, then please give this video a like and share it with like-minded creators. I have more videos coming, so please make sure your notifications is on, and if you're not subscribed yet, then please subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos I upload. And if you would like to learn how to make these 3D appliques, then click or tap on the screen right here, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to practice, practice, practice. Bye, everybody.